primary. And so how do we get the spine to come down, particularly through the lumbar, is you raise the legs. When the legs come up, the lumbar will settle down. So you can use bolsters, folded blankets, you can use an ottoman, a coffee table maybe with a blanket on it, the seat of a couch. I love using a folding chair. Okay, so there it is. Now I can't get my fingers behind the lumbar, so the spine is nicely aligned. Okay, now the arms. If the arms are too wide, it keeps your attention oriented outward. If the arms are held in too close, it puts undue pressure on the shoulder joints. It also is associated with a mental tendency that a lot of people with Vata have, which is to not want to take up too much space in the world, holding yourself small and so on. Okay? So the arms forming sort of a V shape, upside down V, or bending your elbows and putting your hands on your belly. If you do that, overlap the hand, don't crisscross the fingers. That has an effect on the meridians or the nadis, so the hands can overlap. And so the legs, sometimes what happens here due to hypermobility is the legs are splaying wide or just due to not knowing what's the best thing to do with the legs. So one at a time, lay the legs side by side. Also, don't squeeze the knees together. Let the legs be side by side, but naturally the thighs will rotate outward a little bit. Also here what I'm showing is you want the support to be all the way through to the backs of the knees. So if your feet are getting caught on the back of your prop, like this chair, you want to let your toes go through behind the seat of the chair so that there's more full support under the lower legs. If you have an arching in the neck, again, that's not going to help the mind quiet. So you may just need to tuck it, or you can use a prop if tucking it doesn't help, and that's due to tension through the whole spine that's tracking all the way into the cervical spine. So a folded blanket, a towel, even a book, if you don't mind the firm support, behind the back of the head. Not under the neck, just under the back of the head. Well supported, spine is well aligned so that you're putting the body in a position where you can essentially not think about it anymore, getting the body out of the way so that the Shavasana experience can take over. If you have long legs or a cold, hard chair, you can also put a folded blanket on the chair. Adds a little more height, a little more cushioning, a little more warmth. The body does tend to cool down when it relaxes. And the thigh bones don't have to be, perpendicular to the floor. There will be a slope, but there's some wiggle room in how much slope the thigh bones will be. It doesn't really matter, okay? It's a personal choice how upright or sloped those thigh bones are in Shavasana. So you can cover up with a blanket because you may cool down in Shavasana. If you're a teacher, you probably cover your students up with a blanket, especially if you teach a spinal release form of yoga or a restorative form of yoga. Even other forms of yoga, I think, offer blankets if they have them. Of course, if the students are sweating, they may not need it. But you can also, if you have something that will do this, at home or in the yoga studio, you can put weight over you. This is especially good for calming Vata. Now, too much weight will disturb the mind. So it has to be a right amount that allows you to calm and quiet, not so much weight that over time it becomes too much pressure and the mind and body can't let go. And then I'm showing the hands, not holding the hand, the fingers open like this, but letting the hands be relaxed, not doing a fist, not doing a mudra, not trying to squeeze or tighten the fingers open, just letting the hands and fingers relax. And then don't put weight on top of your hands the way that I'm doing with those blankets. I know people love to do that with sandbags and blankets and so on. That will put undue pressure on the shoulder joints, though it may feel good. If you have shoulder or upper spinal issues instead, you can do what I'm doing, put the support under the hand, and that will release the shoulders and heart and upper spine. And then to get up, you curl up on your side, push yourself up the rest of the way. Okay, so restorative, supported Shavasana. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause here and take questions. If there are any questions about anything I've covered up to this point, you can unmute yourself or wave your arms around madly if you can't figure out unmuting yourself. We've talked about Soma as it relates to Shavasana, the